Did you know that nearly 75% of people admit to making an impulse purchase when they were feeling a certain kind of way? That's right. 3 out of 4 people have fallen into the trap of emotional spending, and unbridled it can easily crush your future. We've all been there, a bad day at work, a fight with a loved one, or just feeling blue. And what do? We reach for our wallets. We need that dopamine hit, just like an addict. But here's the thing, emotional spending doesn't solve our problems, it actually makes them worse. It might feel good in the moment, but those fleeting feelings of satisfaction quickly fade, leaving us with a pile of unwanted purchases and a dent in our bank accounts. So how do we gain control over our own human nature to stop shooting ourselves in the foot over and over? Stick with us and we will lay out several strategies to master your mindset to make more rational decisions over what are needs and what are wants. Emotional spending is exactly what it sounds like, spending money to cope with emotions or an unsatisfied mental state. It's a way of self-medicating with stuff, using material possessions to fill an emotional void. We often think of sadness as the main culprit, but frustration and boredom can also trigger impulsive purchases. Think about it. You're feeling stressed out from work, so you treat yourself to a new outfit. You're bored on a Friday night, so you start browsing online and end up with a cart full of gadgets you don't need. These are classic examples of emotional spending in action. The tricky thing about emotional spending is that it often disguises itself as something else. We tell ourselves we're treating ourselves or deserving a little something special for all of the sacrifice and hard work it takes to stay afloat. But deep down, we know the truth. We're trying to buy our way out of a bad mood. So how can you tell the difference between a genuine need and an emotional impulse? Ask yourself these questions. Do I need this item, or do I just want it right now because I'm feeling down? Will this purchase truly make me happy in the long run, or am I just seeking a temporary distraction? If you're being honest with yourself, you'll usually know the answer. What is behind the psychology of retail therapy? Why do we turn to spending when we're feeling down? It's a question many of us have asked ourselves, especially after an impulsive shopping spree. There are a couple of key psychological factors at play. Understanding these can help us make more mindful choices. First, buying something new provides a temporary hit of dopamine, a feel-good chemical in the brain. This chemical reaction can make us feel momentarily happier and more satisfied. This rush of dopamine can be highly addictive, leading us to chase that feeling again and again through repeated purchases. It's a cycle that can be hard to break. Second, we live in a society that constantly bombards us with messages equating happiness with material possessions. Advertisements and social media play a huge role in this. We're told that we need the latest gadgets, the trendiest clothes, and the most luxurious items to be truly happy. This creates a never-ending desire for more, and the most luxurious vacations to be truly happy. The pressure to keep up with these standards can be immense. This relentless pressure to consume can be overwhelming, especially when we're already feeling vulnerable. It's important to recognize these influences and find healthier ways to cope with our emotions. Now, here is a moment of truth, a spending wake-up call. I'll admit I haven't always been immune to emotional spending. It's something that can sneak up on you when you least expect it. Years ago, I went through a particularly stressful period in my life. The demands of my job were overwhelming, and I felt like I was constantly under a microscope. I was working long hours, dealing with difficult cases and feeling the pressure to always have the answers. The weight of responsibility was immense, and it started to take a toll on me. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, I found myself mindlessly scrolling through an online store. It was a way to escape, to find a momentary distraction from the stress. Before I knew it, I had ordered a ridiculously expensive watch, something I didn't need and couldn't really afford. It was an impulsive decision, driven by a need to feel better, even if just for a moment. When the watch arrived a few days later, the initial thrill of the purchase quickly faded, replaced by a sinking feeling of guilt and regret. I realized that the watch was just a temporary fix for a deeper issue. I knew I didn't need it. I don't like wearing them, and I knew it was an ego play. That's when I realized I had a problem. It was a wake-up call that made me confront my habits and understand the underlying emotions driving my purchases. I knew better, and that watch taught me an important lesson. Let's focus on breaking free from emotional spending. The good news is that emotional spending is a habit that can be broken. It takes self-awareness, discipline, and a willingness to confront the root causes of your emotional spending triggers. Start by identifying your triggers. What situations, people, or emotions tend to lead you to overspend? Once you know your triggers, you can start to develop healthier coping mechanisms. Instead of reaching for your credit card, try going for a walk, calling a friend, or engaging in a hobby you enjoy. You need to distract your distraction. These activities might not provide the instant gratification of a shopping spree, but they'll nourish your soul in a way that material possessions never can. So the three most powerful allies against your superfluous spending sprees. Distract yourself from the activity. Give yourself an overnight or several-day cooling-off period to determine if you really need it, and use a budget and stick to it. If the item was not planned for in your budget, it is probably not really a need. Some apps will even structure it automatically. Take control of your emotions and your wallet. This section is all about empowering you to take charge of both your emotional well-being and your financial health. It's time to recognize the connection between your feelings and your spending habits. Remember, you're not alone in this. Many people face the same challenges, and there is a community out there ready to support you. Whether it's friends, family, or support groups, reaching out can make a big difference. Emotional spending is a common struggle, but it's a struggle you can overcome. It's important to recognize the triggers that lead to impulsive purchases and take proactive steps to address them. By understanding the psychology behind emotional spending and developing healthier coping mechanisms, you can break free from the cycle of impulsive purchases and build a healthier relationship with your money and yourself. Techniques like mindfulness, meditation, and budgeting can be incredibly effective. I encourage you to share your own experiences with emotional spending in the comments below. Your stories can inspire and help others who are going through similar situations. Have you ever made an impulse purchase you later regretted? Reflecting on these moments can provide valuable insights into your spending habits and help you make better choices in the future. What are some of your go-to strategies for coping with negative emotions in a healthy way? Activities like exercise, creative hobbies, and talking to friends can be great alternatives to shopping. And if you're struggling with emotional spending, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Professional support can provide you with the tools and guidance you need to make lasting changes. Don't trade your future for your present. Be mindful of your goals. There are many resources available to support you, including financial counselors, therapists, and support groups. You've got this. Remember, taking control of your emotions and your wallet is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to financial freedom and emotional well-being.